Saenz with the Cosmic Clash. We have a newest edition of the Cosmic Clash, Cassandra Saturn over there. We're interviewing the gentlemen that created Exit 19. This is Hector, Leah, and Alfred. So my first question is, what motivated you guys to create Exit 19?
Okay, South by Southwest is a really busy time through just coming through here with a bunch of bands coming through and back to Austin. And I'd already done something similar to this in the past with a couple of days here and there with big shows like this. So, never anything on this scale, but there's already a bunch of bands coming through, so it was only natural to be able to combine not only what we would do at Monarch, but what we would be able to do at Boomtown and Warsaw. So it just kept on growing to where it basically turned into a 2-week thing, and where we were able to also showcase local talent. So that's always a motivation as well, when you are able to bring in the local aspect to it. And I think it ended up working out pretty much the way we envisioned it, I guess.
Can you tell us about the venues and the location?
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with how Exit 19 happened. Also, Leo had done the So Sick festivals and what he was talking about before, but it always had to be. It was always in a different venue, and trying to figure that out was kind of a headache, I think, sometimes too. And so now, Monarch was already established as a great venue, being able to do indoor and outdoor shows. And then this year with Boomtown opening, that just kind of added to the whole thing. And then we were just about ready to get the Warsaw going, the new venue. So we were kind of sitting around talking, and we also realized that Nalgadas wasn't going to be going to South by this year. So we were just kind of sitting around talking, and it was like, wait, we have 3 great venues. We're all going to be in town. We should be doing this kick-ass festival.
Awesome. What were some of the highlights of the festival, as in the shows and whatnot?
For me, I think it's really whenever I've done something like this, the highlights for me are, the bands are already there. These are all, I'm booking bands already because I like them already, so that in itself is a highlight. But I also think that if you do something this big, or whenever you do try something this big, and it basically goes off without a hitch, and everything works out the way you imagined it and the way you wanted it, bands are happy, not just the touring bands but local people that show up are happy. The fact that people are actually showing up is a good thing. So all those things for me are the highlights, really.
So the show the whole Exit 19 was free, right?
For the most part, yeah, but sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, we did have a few of the Warsaw shows that did have a charge. Most of them were like $3. And then we had a couple larger acts on the last 2 days. And so those were $7.
So what I guess I'm trying to say is, how did you make that possible to have some free music for El Paso?
Well, we actually always do Boomtown shows, and Monarch shows are almost always free. I think we've maybe charged 4 times in the 3 years we've been open. And the way we do that is basically, since the 3 of us run the show, and we don't have to hire independent sound engineers or PA systems, since we already have all that stuff in-house, we can actually keep the cost down, and we can pay percentages of what we sell out to bands and stuff like that. So we've been running it that way for a while.
So your venues have always been kind of free for people that go for their patrons?
Yeah, I'd say 99.9% of the time the shows are free. And, you would like for everyone to get paid. It doesn't always happen, but usually the main band that is responsible for the evening will get paid, and decide how they want to do it. In this case, we split up the payments a little bit less, but everybody got a little something.
Right.
So we were able to do that at the small spots. And of course, there's always a tab, and for events like these, a lot of young and up and coming bands, they get to play, they get a couple drinks out of it, and we get to see that we can do something for them in the future as well, which we usually end up doing. And you can say genders, a lot of the bands that we've worked with started off that way, and we've been able to put them on shows and stuff like that. So.
Honestly, I was stuck in Austin while you guys were doing Exit 19, and the lineup sounded so much better than being in Austin during South by. How did you guys get that lineup, those bands?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that I've always booked a lot of shows at Monarch, so it's bands that are coming through anyway, and they're always hitting me up. They love the spot, they love El Paso, and when they found out that we're doing something like this, they love it even more. So and then a lot of these bands know each other already, so it's easy for them to just come together and have big shows because they're going to end up playing in Austin together anyway.
Right.
So it's not a hard thing. I mean, they're coming through anyway. It's either you drive 20 hours to Austin and not get any money, or stay here, have a fun night, make some money, party with your friends a little bit. So honestly, it just came all together because of the people that Hector and I know, and it's just people that have played here before. And it came together pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, most of it was actually bands approaching us once they heard what we were doing. Bands, labels, booking agents. They actually approached us, and then there were just maybe like 3 days that we needed to figure out where we had gaps, and so we had to actively book something at different venues. So it was actually, people were really excited that we were doing it, and the word spread really fast.
Awesome. How would you guys describe the music scene in El Paso and the music scene in Juarez? Like, basically, since it's a border town, is there a difference between like other places like LA, Austin, San Francisco? What makes us so unique?
I think our being so isolated has always been a thing. Back when we were playing, in the early 90s, mid 90s, that was it. Like, we played music, and it was our way to get in a band and go see California for the first time, or Oregon, places like that. And that was back when the gas was really, really cheap. So it was really possible. We used to book your own fucking life and all that. And that's what spawned, like I thrive in some of these larger bands that come out of El Paso. I think things have changed now because the internet has changed everything. So people are now connected to the whole world. But the actual essence of being inside of a place like a Boomtown or a Monarch, when you're in these spots and you're interacting with the bands one-on-one, you can't, that's not an internet thing, that's something that has to happen, and it probably will always be that way. That's the interaction between the artists and the crowd. And I think that what makes El Paso unique is that, and this is something that I've seen from being, seeing shows in LA and Austin, seeing them in other parts of the world as well, is that here it is really like a community feeling. Like there's a true, like we know each other, so the people who are playing that show that night are also going to be drinking coffee the next day at your bar, or you're going to go to their restaurant or bar and drink at their place because that's where they work. And though El Paso Juarez is 2.5 million people altogether, it's still got this very these pockets and this small community feel. Juarez is definitely changing again. It seems like things are coming up, and we saw Nalgadas play in Juarez and part-time in Juarez, and they're going to start doing the Burger Revolution that we did at Monarch was simultaneously happening in Juarez. So I think we're also about to witness a change again, an evolution in the region itself. And I only see positive things coming out of it. And people like going to shows here too because we make it affordable.
Yeah, you guys definitely do. The fact that there's so many free shows here with so many different
like
options
20 bucks
on any given night is awesome.
$20 a person.
So what can we look forward to Exit 19 next year?
Just throw all the hard questions on
Come on, Hector.
I think more or less the format's going to stay the same. We want to have a multi-venue festival, just have different stuff going on, even in the same day at different places. A lot of options, bring as many cool acts as possible. Something that hopefully we'll be able to do for next time is actually incorporate other venues that aren't ours, and start letting, other sort of neighbors of ours and be able to spread out to different parts of the city, maybe even do something in Las Cruces, be able to do something in Juarez. So the festival, the idea, yeah, and make it more accessible to a lot of people. It's there's a lot of people that don't go to our places, or that feel more comfortable in a different kind of setting. So it's cool also to think about being able to bring a band that, let's say it's a burger band that normally would never play this kind of like central El Paso place, but it's got a stage and it's cool, and they'll have access to a different audience. There's going to be different people going to that venue also for the first time. It's just something different.
I think there's a hunger for music and shows that everybody here doesn't know they have yet, and I think that kind of goes back to Juarez and El Paso kind of selling themselves short, whether as a music town, whether it's just as a fan or bands in general, like as a musician, people that can actually do things. But I think that, like Alfred said, it's getting to the point where it's like people are finally realizing, like, oh, okay, like these bands are coming through here. I can do this. People in Juarez doing this Burger Revolution thing. I mean, it's not hard. It's easy to try to do this whole like DIY kind of thing, or it might seem like it's a big deal, but it's really not. It's just like you actually wanting to do it and coming together with the right people to do it. And like he said, I think there is about to be like this boom. I mean, because people are going to pass through here already, and they're going to start to see things that they've never seen before, that they thought they'd never have a chance to see, because you can't go to California, or maybe someone from Juarez can't cross over, but now bands are playing over there. That happened to me. So I think you're seeing the fruits of that now, and I think you're going to continue to see it because people are, whether it's the internet, or because they saw a show here at whatever venue, whether it's here, Monarch, Lowbrow, wherever else. I think people are finally realizing that there's a lot out there, and there's a lot out there that they can also do and put together and accomplish, whether it's, like I said, just playing shows, putting together a band, booking shows, etc., etc. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
So with that being said, what makes Exit 19 so different from other music festivals?
Because we're doing it. Because seriously, like what I've seen in other festivals, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just another way of doing it. There's often a lot of corporate sponsorship, there's things like that, and I think that those things, that works for what they do and for how they want to run their spots. But for us, not having to answer to anybody, especially the first time, was very liberating. I mean, we could do it how we wanted to, and we could sell the beer that we wanted to sell, and we could, and that isn't, believe it or not, anytime you do take some kind of a stipend, or you owe them something. And I mean, that's how it works, that's how business works. But for us, especially our first one, going all on our own and financing it with the little bit of money we had already, which was really ours, was just, there's no better feeling than scraping by and making it work and having a wonderful production out of it.
Right.
So, and that was more than just the three of us, by the way. I mean, all the bartenders at all the bars, all the people that went to the shows, all the people who played, they made that possible too. So, I think that's what's so cool about Exit 19 is that it really was a community effort, straight up community effort, and no fighting, no trouble, no issues, just really, really.
No red tape.
Yeah, well, it was great. So, we're full on for next year for sure. We're ready for that.
Awesome. All right. Well, the last question I'm going to ask you before we wrap it up. Other artists that want to be involved in Exit 19 next year, how can they get in touch with you guys?
Like locals or national?
Probably national as well as locals.
Well, I mean, there's the good old email. So exit19fest@gmail.com. Contact us on Facebook. However, really,
Have a beer at Boomtown?
I mean, usually, exactly. I mean, usually the national acts, they all talk to each other. So
Right.
The word has spread now about how this one went, and we heard a lot of bands saying the same thing that Cassandra was saying, that they were like, man, this is actually a lot more fun and cooler than what we actually just did in Austin.
Yeah.
So I think just because it also has like a little bit, I mean, we just started it, like Alfredo was saying, it's all just our effort, DIY. And so it's got a lot of heart to it, and,
Right.
and bands notice that too in the hospitality and just the kind of fun environment that we build, and so the word has spread for sure. So the national acts, they'll know how to get in touch for sure. The one thing I would say about locals is that honestly the acts that we had this year were, I would say all of them were bands that have played at Boomtown or Monarch throughout the year. So it was our way of, they support us throughout the year by having shows there, and we're gonna pay that back by bringing them onto the festival. And so honestly, probably the best way if you're local is to play at Boomtown and Monarch throughout the year.
Awesome.
Yeah, if we missed anyone too, we got you for next year for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't exclude anyone on purpose. We just ran out of space. But that will make sure we get you next year for sure. And it'll go fast.
And that's going to be the great thing about adding other venues too, is that we just only had a certain amount of time slots that we could fill. It sounds like 2 weeks is a long time, and that should be tons of bands. But and I mean it was a ton of bands, but yeah, it was a certain number of slots. So every time we add a venue, that's going to add the ability to put even more locals on.
Thanks, guys. That's
Thank you.
That's the end of our interview. Carly Venus with the Cosmic Clash. Our newbie, Cassandra Saturn. Gentlemen, thank you so much for the interview. Signing out.
Thank you.
Because we've been partying and playing so many shows in the last few days. And then we're going to San Diego next day.
San Diego, right on. Well, thank you so much for saying hello to our Cosmic Clash viewers.